Today we're going to be talking about the most underrated cards in Yu-Gi-Oh history. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with many YouTube channel. So, a couple things to note. Obviously, I used an example of Scrap Iron Scarecrow and Wall of Revealing Light over here. Obviously, some of these cards will not hold up in modern Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm talking about for their time. I'm talking about past formats. For example, Edison format. I use both of these cards regularly. So, you have to take into account what format. Therefore, with that being said, these are all, in my opinion, cards that I always run when possible. And the first one, guys, is a card that I cannot believe that everybody doesn't play, regardless of the deck, because I put it in every deck, Dark Sanctuary. Guys, how is this not just a field spell that you play? I understand if you're playing a deck with a field spell card, okay? Ignore the Destiny board stuff, okay? Listen to this. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, toss a coin, and if the result is heads, negate the attack, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to half the current attack of that opponent's monster. Why isn't anybody using that? Do you guys know how many attacks I've been saved from? How many life points I've drained from my opponents just because of the chance of Dark Sanctuary? I get that it's adding a little bit of RNG, but guys, I believe this is literally the most underrated card in Yu-Gi-Oh history. I don't know why this isn't a staple in every deck that doesn't already run a field spell card, okay? Let's continue on to the next card, Moon Mirror Shield. I've been a big fan of equip cards my entire time playing this game, and Moon Mirror Shield is absolutely one of those cards, guys. You can beat any monster by battle. Any monster. Assuming that the monster can beat by battle, because I know that's a fair share of cards in the game that we all love nowadays. But how many cards and boss monsters do you come across where it's basically impossible to beat them? It's like, hey, this card can't be targeted, destroyed by destroyed by card effects, unaffected by spells and traps, monsters effects. And the only way that you can take cards out is with battle. Moon Mirror Shield turns any single one of your monsters into doing the trick. It turns your monster into better than cannot be destroyed by battle. Moon Mirror Shield is an absolutely excellent card. Let's continue on. This one has seen some play. I don't know how many people talk about this or play this in the current game, but when Night Beam came out, guys, I loved this card. I loved it. Just the fact that you can just beam one of the pieces of back rows out there. Oh, and I didn't read the Moon Mirror Shield to you guys. If you're a Yu-Gi-Oh player, I would imagine that you guys know what card I'm talking about. Okay, so we're going to continue on. This is what Night Beam does. Target one set spell and trap your opponent controls and destroy that target. Your opponent cannot activate the targeted card in response to this card's activation. I've always loved this. How many times do you try to destroy a back row and they just activate it? This is sneaky good. It was always a struggle for me to either use this or Galaxy Cyclone, and I've always went a little bit towards Galaxy Cyclone because of the fact that you can destroy two cards with it, and if you ever find yourself facing a face-up card, like, it does the job. And Night Beam is definitely, and I don't know if I'm like the only person in history to do this, okay? I would side deck Night Beam and Galaxy Cyclone depending on what deck that I'm playing. Guys, Night Beam, very underrated card. Love it, okay? Let's continue on, circling back over to old formats, both Mage Power and United We Stand. Mage Power and United We Stand, both equip cards. Mage Power, the equipped monster gains 500 attack and defense for each spell and trap you control. United We Stand, the equipped monster gains 800 attack and defense for each face-up monster you control. So it kind of does the same trick, monsters, spells, and traps, depending on what deck you're playing. But even if you're not playing a deck that's like heavy on spell and traps, that little boost, especially if you're using this in an older format, and I will forever like United We Stand, guys. An 800 is enough to really get a big boost, and oftentimes you'll have two monsters on the field, 1600 attack. All of that adds up quickly, and you can turn a lot of underrated monsters or okay monsters or just good monsters into great monsters. On top of that, depending on how quick you can flood your field with anything, I don't know off the top of my head. Like, there's a lot of decks now that can just spam cards on the board. With how easy it is now, I don't know why people aren't playing United We Stand. I've always liked equip cards, guys. Always liked them. Now, this one's seen some play, okay? But there has never been a format where I have not used this card. There has never been a deck besides Frogs, because I can't use spells and traps, that I have not used this card. Starlight Road. Why not? Why not? When a card or effect is activated that would destroy two or more cards you control, negate the effect, and if you do, destroy that card. Then you can special summon one Stardust Dragon from your extra deck. You get a free Stardust Dragon out of it. You get a big negation. I'm somebody who is a big fan of a lot of spells and traps too. I've always liked that game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And depending if you're playing on something like trap heavy like the hat format, I love this card. You're always going to have to deal with things blowing up your field. And as the game has evolved, only more and more cards have come out that destroy two or more cards. Starlight Road is excellent. Negate it, you get a Stardust Dragon. I love it, guys. Let's continue on old school, okay? But I will say, still relevant to this day. Magic Cylinder can save games. Magic Cylinder can take games, okay? When an opponent's monster declares an attack, target the attacking monster, negate the attack, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to its attack. This is an excellent card. Guys, especially with the cards today, how many cards do you come across? It's like 3,000, 4,000 attack. Nobody will ever see this card coming. Nobody will expect to run into a Magic Cylinder, and sometimes, all of a sudden, boom, you won the game. I'm telling you, slip one of these into your deck. I don't care what the format is. I'm telling you. It is so underrated, guys. Let's continue on to another thing that you already saw if you've been paying attention. Wall of Revealing Light. Big fan of this in Edison, okay? Continuous Trap. Activate by paying any multiple of 1,000 life points. Monsters your opponent controls cannot attack if their attack is less than or equal to the amount you paid. If you're playing in an older format, a little bit like Edison, you can keep this card on the field for a little while. I pay 3,000 life points every single time that I use this, assuming that I have the life points to spare, and if it's a little bit early game, right? I'm a player that has no problem paying my life points. I've always been the guy when it's possible to run 3 Solemn Judgments, a Solemn Warnings, whatever Solemn cards I can fit on the deck, give me them. But again, this has always been a really good card. You can just stop whatever's on your opponent's field. You can stop an entire battle phase, and oftentimes it will take your opponent at least a couple turns to get rid of something. Plus, you can take advantage of that and attack yourself. I think it's a great card. I think it's an underrated card, okay? Let's continue on to another equipped spell card that I use in the majority of my decks. Power of the Guardians, okay? This is an equipped spell. If an attack is declared involving the equipped monster, place 1 spell counter on this card. The equipped monster gains 500 attack and defense for each spell counter on this card. If the equipped monster would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can remove 1 spell counter from your field instead. You will quickly find yourself gaining a lot of attack points, and the 500 stacks up pretty quickly. On top of that, you now have built-in control to the monster that you want to protect. And if they remove Power of the Guardians from the field, if your opponent just does something quick to get rid of it, your monster's still alive. Just like Moon Mirror Shield, I run at least, to be honest with you guys, I run 3 Moon Mirror Shields in most of my decks. Power of the Guardians, I always run at least one of the cards. It has come in handy so often that it's just become a staple. Now let's continue on. I know there's been controversy over this card and whether or not it's worth putting in your decks, and I feel like nowadays people have been switching their tune on it, but it is absolutely going to be Dark Bribe. I don't care that I give my opponent a +1. I love the fact that it's a spell speed 3, and I love that you can negate either a spell or a trap card. It's that simple. Draw your card, I get that perfect negation. There's like Dark Bribe is the perfect counter card, okay? I know that people were using 7 Tools of the Bandit back in the day. I know people were using Solemn Warning. I like Dark Bribe. I've always liked Dark Bribe. Draw your card, I don't care. I'm good with it, guys. Now, in my opinion, this is one of the most underrated cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! History. In the old formats, and you know, I would even use this thing in the hat format. Scrap Iron Scarecrow. Trap card. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, target the attacking monster, negate the attack. Also, after that, set this card face down instead of sending it to the graveyard. You get a free negation without losing anything. Without losing your card, it just sets again. You get a free negation every turn. If you're running 2 or 3 copies of this thing, do you know what kind of hell you're going to make for your opponent? Because their focus is now going to have to shift to, I need to destroy that stupid Scrap Iron Scarecrow. This thing halts people better than you think. I'm telling you, this is an excellent card. It depends on what deck I'm using, but I run multiple copies of this thing. I love it. And especially if you draw it early game. Oh, so good. So good. And then I've run into a lot like, why the hell are you running that card? But dude, it has come in handy so often, guys. Let's continue on to another card, Clockwork Knight. Now, this one's a little bit newer, and I know it saw some play, and I actually don't know if, I don't recall if it ended up getting limited or banned, but depending on what format you're playing, Clockwork Knight might be available, okay? It's a continuous spell. All face-up monsters in the field become machine monsters. Machine monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense. Also, machine monsters your opponent controls lose 500 attack and defense. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then discard 1 card, add 1 earth machine monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect once per turn. You can only activate 1 per turn, okay? Now, ignoring everything that you could also do with this card, the fact that you have a continuous spell where you basically put a 1,000-point attack difference between you and your opponent, assuming that your archetype can handle being machine monsters, I think it's excellent. I'm a big anti-meta guy. I absolutely continue with these things in there. Plus, you do a Cyber Dragon, Chimera Tech, Fortress Dragon, that old strat too. Very useful. you get 500 attack points for all of your monsters, and all of your opponent's monsters lose 500 attack points. I don't know why, if you can handle your monsters all changing what type they are, you would not play this card in your deck. But that doesn't stop there. We have another spell card that kind of affects attack points. It's Burden of the Mighty, another continuous spell. And it works even in modern formats, okay? I get that there's a lot of Link monsters. I get that there's a lot of XYZ monsters. But just making your opponent's monster lose 100 attack times its own level, again, you would be shocked about how quickly your monsters become more powerful than theirs. Like I was just talking about the United We Stand. This is sneaky, sneaky, sneaky helpful. To reduce your opponent's attack points, monsters is something that they're also not used to. But you know what else that you're not used to? Probably watching this channel because it's brand new. Why don't you check out this video where we made a video on the dumbest rules in Yu-Gi-Oh history. I would love to have you over there. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Take care, guys.